Hey, hey everyone. It is Coach Maggie, Certified Health and Lifestyle Coach. And today is our last episode in this holiday mini training. And I hope that you've been able to take away some great tips and really start thinking about why we do what we do. And like I've said each evening, that these are things that can be beneficial and helpful, not just through the holidays, but hopefully year round. So today, when I took my survey, this actually was number one. Even over the overcommitment and the busyness was money. And it showed itself in multiple ways. Just the stress that it causes on marriage and just the frustration. And so I wanted to wait till the last day to talk about it. And the fact is, we're getting ready. We're already seeing the commercials for Black Friday. We're seeing the specials, the catalogs. So this is timely. So I want to, like all of the other days, get into the why. At the end, I'll give some tips on things that you can do, but it's still so important that you consider why do we, not just you, why do we tend to feel that we need to give so many things. So I want to look at three things in particular. And the first one is we want approval. Just think about it. How often do we give things, or as we're shopping for that gift, we're already in our mind thinking of how it's going to look when that person opens it. What's everyone going to say? And so we're wanting approval. There's a sense of validation. If I give this gift, people are going to say, wow, look at you. And I think we've all done that. And so we really need to be careful of doing that. The other one is the need to impress. And these are quite similar, but the need to impress. It's like, wow, they can afford that. Or, wow, they must have connections to be able to have done that. We're often trying to impress the people that we're giving the gift to, as well as those observers. And I think we're trying to impress ourselves. That feeling of, I finally arrived. I remember when I was still single and, wanting to give gifts that, my family would go, wow, that must be a really good job you have. And really, a lot of times it was way more than I should have been spending, but I was trying to impress people. The last one is often trying to fill a void. And this is a biggie because, again, we're trying to make up for something that we are lacking. And so we've got to be careful that we aren't giving to do that, to fill that void. So let's take a look at some solutions. So for number one, when it talks about wanting approval, is we need to realize that someone else's approval of us doesn't really change who we are, does it? Whether they approve or don't approve, it really doesn't change me. And I need to get over that and value myself, my worth, irrespective of what others think. When it comes to trying to impress, let's stop trying to impress people. Because, yes, for a momentary where the whole room says, ooh, 5 minutes later, they're oohing at somebody else's gift. So, have we really impressed people? You think about it. Last year, how many gifts do you really remember? So, we're often spending all of this money to impress people who aren't easily impressed, and it isn't even making an impact. And then the last one is the idea of trying to fill a void. Several years ago, I had a friend and we were talking and she was really sad because, Christmas was ahead and she knew that again, it was going to be a pretty skimpy Christmas. Her husband worked seasonal work. And so generally during the holidays in the winter, he wasn't working, but only drawing unemployment. And she said that she remembered having very skimpy Christmases as a child, and she didn't want that for her kids. And so she was already putting a plan into place to go Christmas shopping, put everything on credit cards, and not worry about it until January. And I remember trying to talk her out of that and saying, why are you doing this to yourself? Because I knew it was going to prevent her from having a very good Christmas. Yes, she would enjoy seeing her kids excited when they opened their gifts. But in the back of her mind, she was going to be thinking, how am I going to explain this? And even more importantly, how are we going to pay for this? And I told her, I said, it's going to put added stress on you and definitely on your marriage. And it did. And it's funny because I also grew up in a large family with Christmases where usually we got one sort of big gift. And when I say big, it wasn't. But to us, it was big. It might be a doll or a truck for one of my brothers or something. And then usually there were some smaller things. But my memories of Christmas are wonderful. But I only remember a handful of the actual gifts. But it was the meals, it was the time around the table and talking and laughing. It was decorating the tree. It was those types of things, the excitement, the anticipation, the games, going for drives, the nights leading up to Christmas, seeing the Christmas lights, doing a lot of those free things that people don't even think about anymore. So we grew up in similar ways as far as financially, but my memories were wonderful. So again, what picture are we painting? And again, this is a common one for parents to want to do more for their kids, but sometimes we're doing them an injustice. So let me give you just a few tips and ideas for ways to save money. So the first one is, well, the first thing definitely is to set a budget. This is where a lot of people go wrong. The person who pays the bills, whether it's the husband or the wife, often says, now don't overdo it this year. You did last year. But there's never any talk about a dollar amount. You need a budget for food, because let's face it, you're going to be buying more food than normal between Christmas and New Year's. So you need to have a budget for food. You need to have a budget for gifts, and you may need to have more than one. So there may need to be the one for the immediate family. But now suppose you work and you exchange gifts at work, or maybe with your best friends you exchange gifts. Maybe there's some gift things going on at church and you do that. All of those things need to be taken into consideration. And a lot of times we don't. And then when the bills start coming in, we think, how did this happen? But it's because we didn't plan for it. So first and foremost, you need a budget. Also make a list of the people that you're shopping for, okay? And again, a lot of times we don't do that. And then the next step is try to cut that list. Maybe there are people on there that have been on there for years. And if you really stop and think about it, do they really need to be on there? Okay, so try to cut that list. All right, the next one is do more handmade gifts. Now you might say, I'm not crafty, but this is where if you don't make things, more than likely you know someone that does. Now the virus may change things a little bit this year, but consider ordering things online. More than likely you have friends that do make things. Maybe they make handcrafted crafts, or they knit or crochet or any of those types of things. And this is a win-win. Usually those things are less and you're helping someone else out. Also, make gifts yourself or bake gifts. I've often done this, whether it's baking cookies or putting together a basket full of things that they can take. They're non-perishable things, but they can make later. And sometimes you can do those rather inexpensively. All right. So give food items, again, mainly to close family members or friends that you know. Also, shop consignments shops. That's a biggie out there. And then the last one, I've got lots more, but I don't want to keep this too long, is repurpose gifts. I've given things that people were thrilled at because maybe there were things I wasn't even using. They're like new. One of the things that I like to do is sometimes keep track of things that maybe someone comes into my home and they comment, "Oh, I love that vase," or "I really like that." And I just sort of store that in the back of my mind. And then down the line, maybe I either look for items like that, or maybe if it's something that I have that I'm not using, I actually give that particular one. Now, again, you want to give very good, gently used, if used at all, gifts. But hopefully, these will start you thinking. Again, this is the time emotions get into play. We watch the Hallmark movies, and I'm a sucker when it comes to that too. And we see Christmases where the gifts just keep coming and coming, and there's tons around the tree. And we can find ourselves feeling like we're shortchanging our loved ones. But you know what? More than the gifts, they want you and what you mean to them. So I hope that you'll keep that in mind this holiday season and throughout the year. We're not trying to buy people's love. They want us and we want them. And so consider also going together on gifts and doing more to bless other people. One of my sisters and I, we as a families used to exchange gifts. And I know my sister spent far more than I did, and she only has two children. And so finally, at one point, I said, this really is lopsided. I have four, and you have two. And she often sent gift cards to my kids, and they loved it. And so I said, what about if we give a gift in each other's name, but to our favorite charity? And so we did that for a while. So consider being creative. And again, try to shorten that list because, again, a lot of times we're putting a burden. We never know if we're doing that. We're putting more of a burden on someone else by saying, hey, let's exchange gifts. Maybe they're at that place where they're saying, boy, this is really a burden on us. But they're not wanting to be the first person to say anything. So consider doing that. So I hope these have given you some ideas. I would love, love, love to hear from you. And feel free to reach out to me on my Facebook page. And maybe if there's some things that you are going to do differently or some ideas and suggestions that you have, please be willing to share them with us. So I hope that you will have an amazing holiday season. And again, keep in mind, why are we celebrating in the first place? And let's make sure we're making memories that don't cost anything. They just cost our time and our effort, and most of all, our love. So take care and God bless.